From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Our top story tonight: over 1 million people have been disenrolled from Medicaid coverage in 24 U.S. states. According to activists, most of them have been excluded for lack of documentation or other bureaucratic reasons. Medicaid provides health insurance to millions of Americans, including low-income adults, the elderly, and people with disabilities. The federal government has given states little more than a year to verify Medicaid eligibility. Activists say eligibility verification requires a lot of paperwork and other often confusing requirements that are difficult to manage. In some states, Medicaid workers have not been informed about how to resume eligibility verification and the steps needed to maintain coverage. 10 Republican-led states have set strict income limits and decided against expanding Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. Former President Donald Trump's trial is scheduled to begin August 14th. This is on 37 counts related to classified documents. He also is charged in connection with his business dealings in New York. Trump pleaded not guilty to the charges. The twice indicted ex-president is the first former U.S. president to face federal charges. According to media reports, the trial date could change as Trump's lawyers seek a stay. Special counsel Jack Smith said Trump's trial could be completed in 21 days. A federal judge has barred former President Donald Trump from releasing evidence in the criminal case against him. The order prohibits Trump and his team from disclosing the evidence to anyone other than those strictly involved in the case. Circuit Court Judge Bruce Reinhart of the Southern District of Florida issued the protective order. The Justice Department argued in a motion the evidence was, quote, sensitive and confidential. Trump's legal counsel did not object to the motion or the final order. Trump faces several legal challenges, including charges of willfully withholding national defense information and conspiracy to obstruct justice. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him. White nationalist podcaster Steve Bannon is criticizing Donald Trump's handlers after Trump nearly admitted to taking government documents. Bannon was Trump's appointed chief strategist and senior counselor following the former president's election in 2016. During the Monday interview on Fox News, Trump defended taking classified government documents and refusing to return them. Trump told host Brett Baier that, like every other president, he took things out. He alleged that the government seems to be in a hurry in his case. He said other people have packed it up and left. On Tuesday, Bannon suggested that the interview was an unforced error for Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. He described it as contentious. The comments do suggest that there is some discord within the Trump camp about how to proceed with the 2024 campaign. Hunter Biden has agreed to plead guilty to 3 federal charges. President Joe Biden's son would plead guilty to 1 tax offense and 1 felony count of illegal possession of a firearm. He's expected to be sentenced to probation and community service. The settlement is seen as a victory for the Justice Department and a relief for the White House. Hunter Biden said he deeply regrets his mistakes. The settlement is expected to be announced in court in the coming weeks. Allegations against Hunter Biden stem from his failure to file federal tax returns for several years and his illegal possession of a firearm while under the influence of drugs. The investigation was initiated by the Trump administration in 2018. The settlement was reached after several months of negotiations between Hunter Biden's attorneys and the Justice Department. In a letter to the district court, U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, wrote that Biden agreed to certain unspecified conditions regarding his felony firearms charge. At least 129 journalists have been imprisoned in the United States after covering protests following the 2020 killing of George Floyd. A new report from the Knight First Amendment Institute says more than 400 journalists were physically assaulted. 80% of the attacks were by law enforcement. Lead visiting scholar at the Institute, Joel Simon, says, after the 9/11 attacks, police militarization has steadily increased. Simon notes that a mentality has developed among some police officers as if they are patrolling a war zone. The report highlights the inadequacies of press freedom protections during the administration of ex-President Donald Trump. The U.S. Press Freedom Tracker has found hundreds of incidents in 2020 following George Floyd's murder. Experts fear a global food crisis due to climate change. Details after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. Economists say extreme weather events could drive up global food prices. The warning comes as the world already is struggling with food crises due to the Russia-Ukraine war. Uncertainty over the future of the Black Sea Grain Agreement, which ensured the flow of grain from Ukraine, and extreme weather conditions have added pressure on food prices. Moro Pisu, a leading economist, told Turkey's Anadolu news agency, food prices rose by 10% last month. Pisu says markets should brace for more supply-side disruptions due to extreme weather events. However, he said there is a silver lining as many regions that were not able to produce food can now do so. Bulgaria's Prime Minister has met with the head of the country's Islamic Authority to discuss Muslim issues. Prime Minister Nikolai Denkov visited Grand Mufti Mustafa Ali's Hajj's office on Monday. He expressed respect for the scholar and said that the Bulgarian state will be a solid partner for the Grand Mufti's office to create a better world. Hajj stressed Islam in Bulgaria adheres to traditional practices and is against the spread of fundamentalism. Afghanistan's interim Taliban government has dismissed a UN report on the condition of women in the country. Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid says it was propaganda being spread by the UN and some Western institutions. UN Special Rapporteur on Afghanistan, Richard Bennett, expressed grave concerns over systematic and institutionalized discrimination faced by women under Taliban rule. He calls it gender apartheid. A Taliban official said authorities are implementing Islamic law in Afghanistan. Many Rohingya refugees are struggling to maintain their lives in harsh conditions at a camp in the Indian capital of New Delhi. Footage on the eve of World Refugee Day on Tuesday showed an ordinary day of refugees and their daily activities. About 40,000 Rohingya Muslim refugees are living in makeshift camps across India. Many of them fled to India after the Burmese military genocide of their community over 5 years ago. The camps have no access to basic services such as sanitation, healthcare, education, or drinking water. Most of the refugees live in cramped rooms and are exposed to serious disease and infection. For the first time since 2014, Yemeni pilgrims from the Houthi rebel group are leaving the capital Sana'a for the Hajj pilgrimage. On board the flight of almost 300 Yemeni pilgrims are several Houthi leaders, including Deputy Law and Order Minister Alama Fuad Naji. The Houthis have been the target of a Saudi-led war in Yemen since 2014. Since 2016, the Saudi-led coalition has imposed a blockade on Sana'a airport as part of its campaign against the Houthi rebels. Russia's President Vladimir Putin says those convicted of burning the Quran will serve their sentences in predominantly Muslim regions. Recently, a resident of the city of Volgograd was arrested for allegedly burning the holy book outside a mosque. The act sparked nationwide outrage, particularly in Russia's Muslim-majority Chechen Republic in the North Caucasus. The defendant was transferred to a remand prison in Grozny, the capital of Chechnya. Some groups had expressed concern that the defendant would be tortured or harmed. Legal experts say the investigation should take place where the crime was committed. The country's justice minister, Konstantin Chuchenko, has suggested that criminals be sent to correctional facilities in Muslim-majority regions after sentencing. Russian investigators have alleged that the defendants confessed to receiving a payment from Ukrainian intelligence agencies. Russia has previously condemned the burning by Rasmus Paludan, a far-right party leader in Stockholm. An Iranian group is accusing a prosecutor of subjecting a female prisoner at a detention center to a full-body search. Adalat-e-Ali is a hacking group that claims to have obtained documents by targeting the Iranian judiciary. The document contains numerous complaints from women who have experienced intrusive searches in Iranian prisons. According to a confidential document, Ahmed Rahmanian, a prosecutor, admitted to searching a political prisoner in 2021 at a police prison. Other political and civilian prisoners have also reported inhumane treatment, particularly towards female prisoners in Iranian prisons. In response to the revelation, the Iranian judiciary said full-body checks are conducted under legal, religious, and privacy considerations. Female prisoners would be checked by female officials. The judiciary urged individuals who claim improper treatment to report their cases to prison inspection authorities. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel or click on the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.